Hola mi gente, it's your girl Yelena, your favorite Latin artist, and I am on Pink World. Make sure you tune in.
Como una diabla te voy a controlar. Vas a sentir mi fuego. Vas a sentir por ti. No siento emociones.
Welcome back to this episode of Pink World, episode 30.
Nope.
31, sorry. Thought I got myself right again. We have a special guest today, Yelena. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm so grateful to, be here.
Of course.
And especially in front of you guys. So thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of want to talk about like how'd you get your name? If that's your real name, then
Yeah.
that's your birth name. But
My government name.
yeah. But is it?
Yeah, it is
Okay.
actually my government. Yeah, my birth name.
Yeah.
My father was the one that told my mother, like, oh, let's name her Yelena. But yeah.
Fire.
You know what it means?
Yelena, I know Yelena is a Russian name. A lot of people always think it's a Spanish name.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, it's actually Russian. And I know it's pronounced like differently. Like in Spanish, for those who like speak Spanish, I'm usually called like Yelena or Yelena. And I think in Russian they say it kind of with like a J. I could be wrong, but that's what I've heard.
Okay.
But but it means shining light.
Wait,
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
For sure. So how did you get into the kind of music industry, and if you like have any like influences from early on, anybody in your family or anything like that? Kind of how did you get like to where you are today?
Yeah, so I honestly got into music, or I would say I fell in love with music when I was 7 years old. My father would always do this thing. So like, I think they still do it now, but like Walmart, how they used to, not used to, but they still do it, where they sell like cheap, like old movies, like DVDs.
Yes,
or, like,
yes, and they put them all in like a bin.
Yes, all in like a large bin. Yeah, so at the time, when I was 7, I lived in Florida. So I grew up in Florida. And my dad, every time...
I did too.
You did too?
Yeah. That's so funny. Okay, what part?
So when I moved to Florida, I lived in Orlando for a year. And then I moved down to Cape Coral.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So near Fort Myers, for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my dad, every time he came home from work, he would always stop by, Walmart, whatever, do grocery shopping. And he would always get me a movie from like those bins.
Yeah.
And one day, he came home and he brought me a movie. And the movie that he brought me was Selena. So at the time that I watched it, I didn't know who Selena was. I didn't know she was actually a real person.
Yeah.
I didn't even know, like she was dead and her birthday's actually tomorrow.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So her birthday's on the 16th. So yeah, I didn't know that this person actually existed. So I watched a movie, bless you.
Thank you.
I watched the movie and I just fell in love. Like I fell in love with her persona, the music, performing, I would say. I just fell in love with every aspect of what I guess you could say like music is all about, or especially being an artist. And so then after watching the movie, I kind of just, I guess like I would do this thing where like I would watch music videos of Selena and I would just kind of mimic how she would sing or how she would dance. And then from there, I guess that's when I started to realize like I actually could sing. Yeah. But it was more so when my parents started to realize I could sing, and then other classmates too started to realize that. But unfortunately, when I was younger, I was very shy. So I had like a huge amount of stage fright, and I didn't conquer that, I guess you could say, until the age of 15.
Oh wow.
But yeah, so that's pretty much how it started. I don't really have anyone in my family that's like musically oriented, I guess you could say. But yeah.
So Selena resonated.
Yeah, 100%. She definitely resonated for sure. And I'm very grateful for that. And same for my father. I tell him all the time, like, despite us butting heads, I'm like, you're kind of one of the reasons why I do music. So
That's dope.
yeah. Yeah.
So You are a Latin artist. Is that how you like?
Correct. Yeah.
So what is your like background like ethnically?
Yeah, so I am Cuban and Dominican. My father's Cuban, my mother's Dominican.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what's your experience been like kind of being like a Latin artist and like on like you won the Latin Artist of the Year at the BMAs this year. So like what's that whole experience been like?
I mean, it's been great. I'm very grateful for it. And I definitely would say when it comes to my music, how I started doing music since like, was it 2020? I don't like to put myself in a box. And obviously, like when it comes to like music and everything, people always are kind of like in a box. Like, oh, this person does hip hop, this person does, like R&B and et cetera, et cetera. And for me, I feel like I kind of fit in different places. Like, not only do I identify as a Latin artist, but I also identify as a Latin R&B soul artist. Because when it comes to my music, I like to sing, with soul. Like I have a lot of soul in me. So it's like the songs that I've came out with, a lot of them are kind of like ballads, very deep. And, I probably have one or two songs that are upbeat. But obviously, as I continue to work on my music career, I'll continue to experiment more, put out more music that's more upbeat, or still continue to put out music that's kind of ballads and still continue to sing in Spanish or do Latin based, type of music. But in all, I would say, I'm very grateful for the award that I received. That was it was kind of shocking. I'm not gonna lie, because I haven't really been doing music for a long time. It's only been about 3 years, and I'm just I still feel like I'm still in my beginning stages. Like I still feel like at times that I'm like a rookie. So there's still a lot that I don't know, but there's still a lot but there's still some things that I do know, right? Yeah. And I'm still kind of like, specifically like here in Mass, I'm still kind of orienting myself in the music scene. And with that, it can be kind of frustrating, because for someone like me, there is a place, but at the same time there isn't, because here in Mass, it's very hip hop based,
100%.
Yeah, and so that's where I get kind of frustrating sometimes, and but I guess I'm trying to work my way around it, but at the same time too, like the type of artist I see myself becoming huge. Yeah. So I just know at the end of the day, like respectfully, that Massachusetts is not going to get me to where I need to, be. Yeah. And that's just, and I feel like that can be applied with any other artist, because I know for sure I don't want to be known just as a local artist. But with the BMAs, I definitely was shocked, just because, I haven't been doing this for a long time, and I felt like a lot of the people that were nominated, they were very, 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 very talented. They were probably, they have much more experience than me. And to be honest, I kind of didn't think that I had a shot. But that's not me downplaying myself, but it's just, I'm the type of person where sometimes I have a lot of doubts, and then being in this industry, like, when you're chasing after like a huge dream that I'm chasing after, sometimes you kind of feel like you're not good enough. And that's kind of like the thoughts I kind of had when, I was told that I was nominated for that award, and, but I'm learning to just really, how do you say it? To really give myself grace. And to really, like recognize, my worth and my talents. So
and give yourself your flowers.
Yeah.
Like,
that too.
You deserve
Definitely.
it. Like, you won it for a reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm trying to do that. I'd be hard on myself
very
sometimes.
hard.
It's very hard.
It's easier to tell somebody you did that than to tell yourself you did that.
Yeah. No, it can be difficult.
Even like doing it, like even like getting an award like that, like it's still like that doesn't like. Not like me talking about you, but like in your mind, like that doesn't necessarily solidify like things, because there's always like a next step. So I kind of get that, but definitely make sure like you take time to step back and be like, I did that. Yeah. Like, I am doing this. Like people are recognizing you around Massachusetts. So it's not like, it is a good like baseline, Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying. I try to tell myself sometimes. So, but I just blame it on my birth chart. We're very complicated.
Oh, what's your birth chart looking like?
Oh, girl, it's messy.
Let's start with the big three.
So with the big three. All right. So my son is an Aquarius.
Okay.
So I was born January 22nd. I'm an Aquarius Capricorn cusp. But my moon is in Cancer. So
Damn, that's
am I able to swear?
Yeah.
So fuck me.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I feel you. I have a Pisces moon.
The water moons.
Yeah. We'd be feeling.
Yes.
We do be feeling.
Wait, I don't know. I be telling people all the time, like
What is Taurus?
Taurus moon?
Yeah, I'm a Taurus
Is
moon.
it
I like Taurus moons.
Is it Earth?
Yes.
Earth?
It's Earth.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys kind of have like a balance, which is great. But with water moons, we're feeling way too much and like very intuitive
Yes.
as well. One of the most intuitive signs. But yeah, no, I'm like, I be telling myself every single day, I'm like, why do I have to feel too much?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then my rising is in Aries.
Me too.
Oh, period.
Yeah.
Yes. So sometimes you know the feeling where you
And
kind of
she's
want
an
to fuck.
Aries herself.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you kind of have that balance, but sometimes you want to fuck shit up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I be feeling sometimes.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely feel that.
Yeah.
I'm dead. So it's like, but the birth chart is like all over the
My
place.
birth chart, like I remember I showed, so I was in LA in February and I was, my vocal teacher that I work with, her son is like a top producer. He used to be on a show called Victorious. Yeah.
Wait, like actual Victoria, like
Yeah,
Victorious?
yeah, Victorious,
Like
the show. Like her
Nickelodeon
son,
Victorious?
her son used to be on there. His name is Leon Thomas. Yeah.
That is so crazy. So Andre.
So that's what I was thinking.
Andre,
Okay, bro.
yeah,
For a second, I was
yeah.
like, I literally have never heard his real name in
Yeah,
real
that's
life.
yeah,
but
Leon
I knew,
Thomas, yeah.
I
Yep, that's
knew
Andre.
once she said that, I was like, wait,
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah. My vocal teacher that I work with, her son is
that's crazy.
Leon Thomas. Yeah. Great woman. But I remember the very first time, like I connected with her last year, and when I went to LA in February for for Grammys week, me and her was just sitting down and we were talking about astrology, and she's very intuitive herself. And I showed her my birth chart and she was like, good God, girl. And I was like, oh my God. And then she was like, listen, your whole chart just specifically says that you're meant to be a star, but if something that does not happen, hell is going to break loose. And I was like, well, hopefully that doesn't, hell's not going to break loose.
Hell
but,
is not gonna
but
break
yeah,
loose.
everything else in my chart, I can definitely say I do have a lot of Aquarius. I forget in what places. My Venus is in Capricorn.
Okay.
There's one placement that I have which is in Sag. And then Libra Mars. My Lilith is in Leo. And then everything else is like Capricorn, Aquarius, and Aries. Yeah.
A lot of Aquarius.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
For all y'all birth chart heads, y'all know what the fuck
Yeah,
you're talking
facts.
yeah, y'all probably
I don't know
Y'all
enough,
know.
but-
exactly.
I don't know much,
Y'all know.
but I do know.
Right.
a
I'm
little
still
bit.
learning too. I
Yeah.
sometimes don't know about the houses. That's why I'm like I can't
I know.
go.
I don't-
The
I can't
houses
go
are very-
detail by detail.
Yeah, they're very confusing.
Yeah, it's very complicated. But
Yeah.
anyone were to look at my chart, y'all would be like, this girl's complicated as
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah.
It is what
It'd
it
be
is.
like that. It'd be like that. So, are you very like spiritual as well?
Oh yes, I am
Yeah.
100% very
Talk
spiritual.
a little bit about like your spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Or if it ties in with religion at all, that's cool too. You know,
Yeah.
just how that has an impact on your music.
Yeah, no, I definitely would say I believe in God like 100%. I know there's a higher power, but spiritual wise, like I definitely believe like, that whatever you put out into the world, it comes back to you.
Yeah.
The universe is always listening, that words, have meaning. Words are powerful. Whatever you say to yourself, it can come true, or whatever
Thoughts are
you think of,
powerful.
or thoughts are
yeah.
powerful. Like, all that kind of stuff, manifestation, all that kind of stuff I 100% believe in. And I started my spiritual journey, I guess you could say, back in 2020, when I ended up meeting someone who was karmic. And if you know what a karmic
Karmic
Yep.
cycle.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So right now I'm kind of in that place where I'm kind of trying to figure out how to end that cycle.
Yeah.
And then from 2020, that's when I started to learn about like, pretty much like how you should carry yourself as a person, like spiritually speaking, like, how you should really be aware of the type of environments you can surround yourself in, and how that can really affect your energy, and how energy is very important, and how like when it comes to being intimate with people, you should really, really be aware about transferring energy, because that's how soul ties can become a thing. That's how, you know, just it can just mess up a lot of things, we'll say. And since then, like, I've just been, right now I'm in a place where, you know, to be honest, like, I'm healing from a lot of things that I've been through since 2020. And I'm also healing from certain childhood traumas that I didn't realize until I started my childhood journey, because growing up as a kid, you know, my parents didn't have the most perfect relationship. It was very toxic, unfortunately. And, you know, a lot of the things that I learned as a kid, I didn't realize how much it affected me as, you know, I started to kind of step into adulthood.
Yeah,
I guess you could say,
absolutely.
like, being a young adult. And I also I didn't realize how it affected my relationships either.
Yeah.
You know, like how sometimes you could end up meeting someone that reminds you of a parent of yours who,
You don't
know,
even know at first.
Yeah.
exactly. So it's just like, it's a lot of things that I've been learning and realized since 2020, and which is why right now I'm in a stage where I'm healing, I'm releasing a lot. So right now I'm kind of like in a delicate stage, because, you know, I do recognize myself too when I started my spiritual journey that I'm a very highly sensitive person. So I can feel a lot. I can feel people's energies. I can feel like when something's wrong or when something's gonna happen, you know, so that's all like intuition. And that's why sometimes I really like try not to be in certain areas. I don't like to be around huge amounts of people, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I've learned how to just kind of like be okay if that's the case. Cause, you know, obviously if you go to concerts or anything that's music
Yeah.
related, there's always going to be like tons of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've learned to just try to kind of navigate through all those things. But the biggest thing right now that I'm really wanting to learn, or I guess continuously learning, is how to tap into my divine feminine.
Okay.
So, like, you know, for those who don't know, like, there's, when it comes to like spirituality, or like as souls, I would say, not as human beings, but as souls, because we're all a soul, we're all a being. All of us carry like a feminine and a masculine energy. And so as a person, when you're tapping into your divine feminine, you're really learning how to like release, but you're also learning how to not how to receive, because divine feminine energy is all about receiving, but not you know, you're also giving, but you're learning how to more so receive than to give. So like, I'm someone who, you know, for a long time realized I was like a people pleaser.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm always caring so much about other people, always wanting to please other people, always trying to put others, you know, before myself. And, you know, with time I started to realize, like, you know, that's, you know, you can't do that, because then you'll encounter people who will just walk all over you or take advantage, or, you know, just not really put your, you know, your feelings before theirs.
Yeah.
And so with tapping into my divine feminine energy, and also my divine masculine energy too, like, I'm just really learning how to receive, but I'm also learning how to, you know, give when it makes sense, but also learning how to not force, and learning that, you know, you can't control everything in life. Like, and I feel like that's the important thing with like music. Like, when it comes to going after your dreams, you really start to learn like the huge thing about law of attraction. You know, again, like whatever you put out, it will come back to you.
Yeah.
And so with my music career and how it's going so far, I've really like sometimes had to tell myself, like, Yelena, like, do not try to force on connecting with someone or trying to like chase. Like, it's fine chasing, but it's also like realizing too, like, the more and more you work, the more and more like you are going to receive what is for you. And so those are things that I definitely would like to implement in my music, or at least I would say more speak on, whether it's in interviews or any events. But definitely with music, I would say, like, when it comes to my brand, I love to, you know, be very feminine. I like to be sensual. You know, I see myself as a woman who's very like, you know, confident, and, you know, despite sometimes, you know, there's days where, you know, I don't really feel like,
you know, everybody has those days,
right?
for real.
Like Hannah Montana said, like, everybody has those days.
Exactly.
But as a woman, as a very feminine woman, I like to show how sensual I like to be with myself. I like to show how, you know, empowering it is to be like a sexy, daring woman who just, you know, who can just walk into a room and feel like anyone can do anything for them and they don't have to do shit. You know, like I feel like that's really what is for me, at least, tapping into my divine feminine. So, but yeah, that was a lot that I said.
No,
that was so well spoken.
Yes, very well spoken.
Yeah.
And it seems like something that you're very passionate about.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you like deliver it in a very classy way.
Very
I would
classy.
say.
I
And
try
I respect
to.
that.
And you
Yeah.
emulate that confidence. Like,
Yeah.
it's easy to see that, too. Like, even if you just look on social media, like, I can see what you're talking about.
Yeah. For
Yeah,
real.
yeah, I've tried to, but this all of this I'm still learning, of course.
Yeah, of course.
So-
We're always learning.
Always.
So.
Yeah.
Always.
Do you channel that? Well, you must channel that energy into modeling. I know you
course.
do a lot of modeling. So is that kind of like the mindset you have going into like shoots or like events?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, definitely when I would say, so when it comes to photo shoots or even performances, so I learned this from like a colleague of mine who, she said to me once, she was like, whenever you go to a photo shoot or whenever you have a show, right before you're about to perform or right before you're about to, you know, they're going to start taking pictures of you, you're going to start getting ready for your photo shoot, call on to your higher self and just say, you know, right now I call on to my higher self to take over me and to just utilize my being right now with what I have going on. And I do that a lot when it comes to shows too, because I really believe when it comes to music that I kind of have like an alter ego. Like when I think of my alter ego, I think of this woman who is just, she doesn't give a fuck. She's so beautiful. Like anyone would do anything for this woman. Like she is like the conqueror of all conquerors. And when she steps into her room, she just has this power all over, like over her being, that anyone would want to, and you know, would aspire to have that same power like this person. And that's kind of how I see like my higher self. So like every time that I do a show, I like to do that because it obviously builds confidence and it obviously helps with the nerves, but it also just helps me step into my power.
Yeah.
And that's just the same thing with the photo shoots too. Like I'll the biggest thing too, to whenever I do that, like call into my higher self, I'll try to meditate if I do have enough time before my photo shoots or before I perform, and that tends to help. Yeah.
So you like to meditate?
I try to. Yes. I like to try to do things that will help me ground myself because I tend to be all over the place.
What's your favorite like form of like meditation? Like guided or like on an app, like whatever, or just like by yourself?
Yeah, I usually do guided, to be honest. I do a lot of like guided meditations on YouTube. Like I'll just look up like ones, whether it's like for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes. I'll usually do the ones that are 5 minutes because like I'm always on the go. I'm always busy. But I usually do the ones that either help ease anxiety or help just like kind of like just ground yourself in general. So yeah.
That's
Very
so
nice.
Yeah.
So you were talking a little bit about like karmic cycles and like relationships. I wanted to ask you like what are some of your experiences in relationships, and like do you channel that into your music? I'm sure you do channel that into your art, as everyone does, but I want to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I definitely would say that lately I've been channeling my experiences, especially my karmic experience. With my music recently. Like one of my songs that I came out with last year called Rumba, it's in Spanish. That song did speak about my karmic situation with this person and how I always felt like it was a back and forth, because sometimes with karmic relationships, that's kind of how it feels. Everyone's connection's different, but in my experience, the connection was always a back and forth. It was always kind of like one-sided. And of course, this person is someone that I do care for and that I do love, but it's just, you know, I just always felt like, you know, they just weren't meeting my needs. And in the song, it just pretty much talks about, like, again, like how the relationship was a back and forth, which is why I titled it Rumba, like a dance, because Rumba is a type of dance, and how they'll never forget about me, how they always are asking about me and stuff because they want me back, but they're not, obviously, they don't have nothing to offer. And right now, currently, I'm actually working on an EP.
Okay.
Where, I think this is you guys are the first guys I've talked to about this.
Okay.
But
you heard it here first.
Yeah.
For real.
Yes, but in the EP, I will be dropping my EP in the fall, and the EP actually talks about my karmic connection. So like how it felt in the beginning, and then how things kind of ended.
Kind of like a storyline. Like
Yeah, exactly. And I'm really glad. It's weird to say, but I'm really glad that I really tapped into like how I felt in this connection, because this connection honestly happened back in 2020 when I first started my spiritual journey.
Yeah.
So like it just like when I first met the person, that's when everything just sparked. That's when I started to wanting to learn more about like spirituality, wanting to tap more into, who I am as a person, as a being, and wanting to tap more into my divine feminine energy, the divine masculine. And that's when I also started recognizing too, like the importance of protecting your energy, because this person is someone who has a very dark energy around them, like, unfortunately. And so I started to kind of, learn about the importance of like really recognizing who you surround yourself, and then also recognizing too that sometimes people are in their wounded energies, and that's why toxicity happens. That's why you end up being in toxic relationships and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I definitely would say with that experience, with this person, my EP is pretty much about them. So I'm a little bit nervous on how people are gonna, I guess, not like whether or not they're gonna like the EP, but how they're gonna feel. Yeah, perceive, because I would definitely say it's very emotional. Yeah. But that's just just putting what I really felt, because it was a very, it still is a very emotional situation, experience, and and it taught me a lot about myself. So
well, that's important, definitely.
Like it's very important to at least learn something from it. A lot of people like say they're wasting their time or whatever, but it's not a waste of time. You're always learning, and just as much as you learn about that other person, you learn just as more about yourself, just as much or more about yourself, for real.
Yeah, exactly.
Every experience is for a reason. Yeah, it's almost always for some type of growth. Like you can either grow or you can get stuck in it,
Yeah, exactly. And emphasis on the karmic cycles, because karmic cycles are sometimes you can get stuck on them unless you don't learn the lesson. Yeah. So I definitely, this year is where I kind of started to internalize what the lesson was, and
really understand it.
Yeah, exactly. And also kind of learn on how to let go of the person and release them, even if they continue to come back. Because, at the end of the day, like, it's with those kind of connections, like, there's always one person that's going to continue to grow and elevate, unfortunately. Yeah. So it's kind of, and it's more tough when you really love the person, if people, not to be sensitive, but it's, I said this to my friend once. I was like, the most disheartening thing that you could ever deal with as a person in life is to love someone who's not for you. And that's pretty much what my EP is going to be all about. So yeah.
Is it mostly in Spanish or English?
So it's going to be in English mostly, and a little bit of Spanish here and there, but mostly English.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you have like a set date or anything?
It's going to be in the fall. I'm not going to announce the date for right now, but it's going to be in the fall.
Cool.
Yeah.
Exciting. Glad to hear it here first, for real.
Yes.
What are some of your like favorite artists, whether it be around here, anybody?
Yeah. I would say, let me think. There's a lot of good local artists, honestly, nowadays. I know you earlier mentioned Isha. Yeah, she's really dope. There's like a lot of the girls from Voice of the Baddies, like all of them were like super amazing. I'm very grateful to meet each and every one that I met. There's Kiki, she's a close friend of mine. Queen, male artist. He's also an engineer, Jay Rose. I work with him closely. He's really dope. One of my greatest friends, Skip to Dip, he's actually a Latin artist.
Oh, dope.
So me and him work very closely. I'm very grateful for him. And there's so many. Like anyone who like didn't hear me say their name, don't take it personal.
Yeah.
It's just there's
You're on the spot. There's a lot.
There's so many people.
There's so many, but I'm very grateful for the ones I've met so far, especially for the ones I've worked very, very closely. So, but yeah, and then on a grand scale, I guess you could say, Snow Allegra is one of my favorites. I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her vibe. She's
too.
she's very like, you know, she kind of reminds me a little bit of oh my God, what's her name? Of like kind of like one of the 60s artists. She kind of has that little flair to her. Yeah. She's really dope. I love Adele, of course. Very, very soulful. Christina Aguilera.
Yeah.
And then like Spanish artists, I love Yendri. She's really dope. She's like Dominican and Italian.
Okay.
Definitely should check out her music. La India, she's like a salsa singer. She's very, very dope, very old school. But yeah,
Do you
I have
like
like a
Kali
long list.
Uchis?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Everything about her, I love.
know.
She's like literally the definition of what my alter ego would be.
Right? Just like so feminine, like
Yes.
always in her feminine. I love it.
Yes, yes, she's very dope. Yeah.
Any like dream collabs?
I would love to actually do a collab with Kali Uchis in the future.
Okay.
Yes. SZA for sure.
Yeah.
Almost forgot about her. Her as well too.
Almost forgot about her. For real.
And there's like a few Latin artists too that I would love to collab with, like Karol G or even Yendri or there's like a few others.
What about Rosalia?
Oh, Rosalia, yes. Rosalia for sure. I've always loved her music. Yes, for sure. And then like on a local scale, there's like Queen. There's a friend of mine, Matt Scarlett. He's really, really dope. He's like a pop artist. He's Brazilian. Okay. Who else? Kiki. And like so many others. Yeah, long list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be like that.
But yeah.
Cool. So I was gonna say, I know you were talking about how you think that everybody gets put in a box at certain points, but around Massachusetts, there's like a lot of hip hop influence, right?
Yeah.
So as a Latin R&B artist, it can be hard to like break through that and like get your spotlight out here.
Yeah.
So where do you kind of feel like you would ideally fit in, or like if you had a place to go that you would want to like grow from there and like expand there, where would it be?
Yeah, so one of the places I'm thinking of honestly is Miami. But I also kind of see myself growing in places like New York or Dallas or even outside of the country, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I feel like for me, like I had this conversation with someone yesterday that I just feel like for me as an artist, as my career continues to grow and excel, I just don't really think I'm just going to always be in just one box or one category.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always going to be in different categories. I'm always going to be experimenting with different sounds and, you know, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And so I just feel like for me, definitely at Miami, I would see myself growing there.
I could see you there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I that's one of the places I've been thinking about. You know, I don't talk about it too much, but about relocating.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you said you're Cuban too, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of Cubans in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Especially around Miami, Doral.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Some nice ones, not the racist ones, but
Yeah.
A lot of Latin influence, and I don't know much about Dallas, but I do know where you
In
went.
San Antonio.
San Antonio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was I would say like the population was mostly like Latino.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like most people I saw, it was really cool.
Latino,
Honestly,
yeah.
the culture down there is a lot different than people might think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Every time I've gone to Texas, I've only gone to Dallas. So like, I tell myself all the time, like we have to really make an effort to try to go to Houston or San Antonio.
Houston
or
was sick, but yeah.
Yeah, I love Dallas personally. One of my friends lives out there actually, so she's always mentioning about how I should move out there, and I'm like, yeah, I know. But yeah, that's kind of I just kind of see myself growing in certain places.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah.
As
like
you should.
yeah.
Constantly changing. Sorry.
No,
No,
you're
it's
good. Do you like to travel?
Oh, I love to travel.
Where have you been?
So, excuse
Where
me.
have you been?
Let me see. I've been to Cuba.
Really?
I've been, yeah.
Oh, gosh, that's dope.
That place is.
Do you have like
amazing.
family down there?
I do. Yeah, I still do have family over there. Yeah, they're still there. Some have came over here, but I do still have some that are over there. So, yeah, Cuba is like my number one place for me. I always tell people all the time, like, I feel like I love that place because once I get there, no one can call me. You automatically disconnect.
True.
So like, yeah, and I tell myself all the time, like, if I ever wanted to, like, just, I don't know, just one day be like, fuck it, I'm gonna leave. I don't want I disappear. I'll go there.
Okay.
So if
Shit,
that ever would,
you had the right idea.
No,
a lot of people had that idea.
I like that.
so if I don't want to say I won't never disappear, but in another universe, if that were to happen, I'm over there.
Yep.
Cause yeah, that place.
I'm sure you've heard the conspiracies about people like
going over there and vanishing.
faking their death, and
Yes.
like Michael Jackson and people like
Yeah.
that. Oh my god.
I don't. Oh yeah, and Tupac. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. I mean, if it is real,
Right.
They did like
I wouldn't.
that's fair.
yeah, you know, I wouldn't
Yeah,
blame them.
Yeah, literally.
It's a nice place. No one would say anything.
literally.
The locals would not say anything.
They're not snitching.
Yeah, exactly. They're not. Dominican Republic. I've been.
Which part?
So my mother's from Santo Domingo, so I've been in the capital. Yeah,
That's dope.
yeah, and a little bit in the like in the countryside too. Not as much, but every time I've gone, I've always been in the city, in the capital.
Have you ever been to like Jarabacoa?
No, never.
I went there for a school trip. I've been there to DR twice.
Really?
Yeah. And I went. The first time was with like a school trip.
Ooh,
and
okay.
Yeah, it was
be
crazy. But we
interesting.
went from like Santo Domingo to Santiago, all through the
Okay.
country. So I saw like
Yeah.
the city and like
You
the
saw the
country
countryside.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really pretty over there.
Yeah, no. Every time that I go to Santo Domingo, I always tell my mom that I want to go to the countryside, but it's always like the issue of like driving
Yeah.
and how long it's gonna take. And
It is ways away from the city.
It is ways
so
away, and it's it's different traveling
Yeah.
out there too.
It is.
Sometimes it can be a little bit sketchy,
Yeah,
but
100%.
but that's just how the country is.
Yeah.
But yes, and then I've been to Mexico. I love Mexico. Where else have I been? And then state-wise, I've been to California, New York, obviously Florida. I've been to Dallas. I've been to Alabama. I've been to Georgia. I've been to North Carolina. I've been to South Carolina. I've been to Virginia. Yeah, there's
So like
a good amount of places.
Yeah, all the
up
way
and down. The
Yeah,
East
up and down.
Coast.
I've
Yeah.
never been to Alabama. What was that like? I don't know
I mean,
why.
there's nothing much going
Yeah,
out there.
right?
No
Yeah.
offense to anyone that's from there, but
That's
it's,
what I was
it's just
thinking.
like the
It's
South.
just Alabama.
Yeah,
It's just Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. But it was cool. I was there for
Yeah.
like 2 days.
Really
Yeah.
Do you usually just go on like trips with like family or friends?
Most of the time I've gone to trips with family, and some friends, or now like just for business reasons, like I'll go with one of my colleagues. His name is DJ Alcide. And very grateful for him. If he ends up watching this interview, just so he doesn't feel away, grateful for you. And then I've gone like trips by myself too. I like to travel alone.
Yeah.
I don't do it too much, but
It's
solo trips are
nice.
always nice.
Refreshing, little reset.
Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah,
You like concerts? Like going to concerts?
I don't mind them, but sometimes I rather go to like very intimate concerts, like
Yeah.
kind of like on a smaller scale.
Those are the best.
Yeah, compared to like the huge ones, because I feel like you don't really get the experience if you end up like paying for like floor seats or like being close to the stage. But that's obviously if you have the money for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love intimate concerts. Like I remember, do you guys know Jessie Reyes?
Yeah.
I remember when she first was starting out. She had a concert at forget the name of the place. It wasn't Paradise Rock Club, but it was
Middle East?
wasn't Middle East. It was like one of the smaller venues that's in Austin. I just forget the name
Right,
of
in
it.
music?
Right,
Hall?
music hall.
No, like smaller.
Really?
Yeah. It was like when she first was starting out, and the place was like, it was really small. Probably could fit maybe like less than 100 or so, or like it was very
Giving jungle vibes.
yes. It was kind of like the jungle.
Okay.
Yes. I just forget the name of the place, but yeah, that was the very first time I got to see her in person, and she was like taking pictures with everyone after her
That's so
show, and and stuff. So like I love stuff like that.
Yeah,
like
me
you know,
too.
it's very intimate. And it's very nice too when you like see artists, you know, at their kind of like their beginning stages like that.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But yeah.
So what about like performing? Do you like to have like a kind of more intimate like thing when you're performing?
Yeah, I would say so. Like when I'm performing, I really, in a way, like I don't know if this is weird to say, but I really like to study people. I really like to kind of see like what is it that, not like, I don't know, it's weird to say, like what turns people on.
No, yeah,
when it
that
comes to
makes sense.
performing,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
does.
like
No.
what
We
you
know a lot of people that do that. I do that too.
Yeah.
Like go to shows and like study how what it is that makes the people go, gets the people going.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, because like at the end of the day, when it comes to like performing, like it's something, one, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And then two, obviously it depends on like what your crowd is. So it's like if you're an artist where you typically have a rowdy crowd, so then that's because your music's probably rowdy and upbeat and stuff. So you gotta do crazy things, or whatever works for you, and what your fan base likes. But yeah, I really like intimate settings. I really like when I'm performing where people are kind of like close to me, because I can just kind of directly look at you as I'm singing, or kind of just
easier to transfer that energy.
Yeah.
exactly, like kind of like feel the vibe. So like that's really big to me. But of course, like the goal is to sing at a larger scale, so obviously it won't always be so intimate. But I really do like intimate settings. So yeah.
Cool. And I know you said that when we were like 7, you started getting into it, but you didn't really get over your stage fright until about 15. So how was that journey?
I mean, that was an interesting journey. I really, if I went back to my child self, like if I was able to go back to the past, I would have spoken to my child and be like, listen, girl, we are going to put you in some class, or we're going to have you be forced to perform. Because my stage fright was really bad. Like it was just so bad to the point where I would just like get up on the stage and I would just choke up.
What situations would you be presented with that you would like feel like that? Like where would you perform?
Like I remember, so the very first time that I realized I had stage fright was when one of my classmates, he wanted us to be a part of our school's talent show. So he was.
That's where it always. Yeah, literally, it's always a talent show.
That's where the journey starts.
Yeah.
So like he was gonna play the piano and then I was gonna sing. So for the audition, so we went. He was like, okay, so like, like we were practicing for weeks, which is, I felt so terrible, but it is what it is. We were practicing for weeks. And so up to the day of the audition, we went, and then I was feeling like, okay, I was feeling a little bit nervous, but I was feeling okay. And when I got up on the stage, I just remember that I just, like nothing would come out. I froze the second that my my classmate was like playing the song. I just would look at everyone. I'm like, and I remember my mom, because at the time my mom worked at the school I was at. I just remember looking at her and everyone, and I was like, oh my God. And then after that day, I went home, and I like talking to like my young self. I was like, we are never doing that again. And then till that day, like every time like someone, like, I don't know, like there was a few times where like something was presented to me where I could perform, because when I was younger too, I actually started doing modeling also at that age, but a little bit of acting too. Like I was part of a modeling and acting school when I was in Florida. And so there were times where like certain opportunities to perform, would come up, and I would be like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But it just changed when I was when I was 15, my freshman year of high school. My choir teacher, he did this thing where like every single year he offered students to perform whatever they wanted to, like solo, whether it was like they just wanted to play an instrument or just perform a song. And it was like an end of the year event thing that we would do. And so I pretty much just had I guess you could say, got up the courage to do it. And I performed Set Fire to the Rain by Adele.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, and I just remember like our teacher left like the sign up sheet, he was like, okay, guys, whoever wants to sign up, here's a sheet. And then when the class ended that day, was chorus class, I just like went up, put my name on there, said what I want to perform. And then I left the classroom. And then I remember like, as I was walking to my next class, I was like, wait, what the fuck did we just do? And then, and then like the rest is history.
Yeah.
So
That's dope.
That's wild.
yeah.
How was that performance?
Oh, it was amazing. Honestly, I wish that someone got a video of it because that would have been great to look back at. But it was really great. A lot of my peers, their parents, like they could not stop talking about it. You know, like I guess, you know, everyone really did enjoy it, and my parents also were amazed as well too. And you know, but you know, unfortunately, my parents at the time they didn't really see music as like a career. So like now they definitely support me with my music career and you know what I'm going after for. But back then, I feel like they would support me on it, but they were just always like, you know, got to focus on your studies. You got to focus on another career. And so, I feel like if it would have been the opposite, then things probably would have been different, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great.
I love that for you.
Yeah, thank you.
What's your experience been like as a female in the industry?
Well, honestly, excuse me.
Need a moment to.
Like, hold
It's a
up.
loaded question.
Yeah. It's never gonna be easy. I mean, at the end of the day, being a female in this industry, especially if you're beautiful, if you got something, you know, got an essence about you, or
You got that confidence.
Yeah, you got that confidence, or if you have a nice body like me,
yeah.
like I have a big ass, like so like that always catches attention. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've had. I remember the first engineer that I worked with. I remember him like at the time I was in a relationship, and he like flirted with me, and that was like a big like no.
Yeah.
That was my first time, what you know, kind of as a female artist having to experience that.
Yeah.
But you know, unfortunately, there's people I've met where they've kind of experienced worse, and it's really unfortunate. But it's also the reality of how it can be at a smaller scale, and then to hear stories of how it is at a grand scale, it can be very, very scary. And we all know, like we've all heard like things have happened in the news and all these stories of these, you know, artists who were taken advantage of, and you know, same with like the actors and all that kind of stuff. But I would say on a small scale, from what I've dealt with, it's just mostly like people just being out of line, people flirting, people
trying to shoot their shot.
Exactly.
Like mid studio session.
Literally.
Right. Or people who contact me asking me to perform, but they're also trying to flirt with me, not being professional.
Yeah.
Or like, especially if they're like in a relationship.
Ugh.
Like, I'm not going to say any names, but it's like, I hope your wife finds out. Or whoever you're dating. But yeah, it can be very annoying, but that's where you kind of just learn to really, you know, create boundaries. That's when you really learn how to be assertive with people, because obviously the more and more that you are assertive, the less that could happen. But unfortunately, it's always going to happen. And the only thing I would hope is that it doesn't happen like in a worst case scenario, you know, because I have heard stories from people, especially here in Mass, who've dealt with certain things that I just...
Yeah,
you know,
it's inevitable.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, what about you guys? I mean, what do you guys think?
Definitely. I feel like the one thing that we always talk about is like not getting acknowledged in a space. Like
main thing.
And some people chop it up to like, oh, like I don't know if like you had a man's here or whatever, and like that's why we're not saying like what's up to you or whatever. But I think it's like also can be misconstrued as like a respect thing. Like you just kind of overlook the girls in the space, like
Which is
like
stupid.
we just experience it here sometimes. Like some people come for a session.
Not most.
Not
at
most.
this point.
Yeah.
But like starting out, like, and it still happens. Like we work here, and people may not know that, but they just they'll look at us, walk past us, won't say anything. But they'll dap up like
The guys, yeah.
So like
The
that's
guys that
just,
they
like,
don't know, they'll dap up. But like
they'll
us,
just
like I'm
look
like,
at
bro,
us.
dap me up. Like, come on, like what?
I'm here. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to act like we're not here. So that's
Right.
probably like the main thing. Like you're obviously gonna get like the people like flirting with you, but for the most part, I wouldn't say like in the industry I've experienced too much. I feel like the people at least that we know in the scene are pretty respectful. At least like the
Yeah.
people we
Yeah.
tend to be around, which is nice.
And they
but-
know
That's
us.
good.
They know what we do, and they
Yeah.
know like
Yeah.
they definitely respect us. So I resonate with a lot of people that come on and they're just like, bro, the people that I keep around me, they respect me.
Yeah.
Like, and that's all that matters.
I agree with that. Yeah, no, same. Like I like work closely, like I mentioned earlier, I work closely with my friend who's a Latin artist, Skip to Dip, and he's obviously a male, and the people he works with, they're males. And, you know, we have a very respectful relationship, and I appreciate that. Like I love when I work, because majority of the people I work with that are close to me are men.
Yeah.
And it seems like
Same
that's how it's
here.
always going to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes I be telling myself like, damn, like I just want to be able to work closely more with females
Yeah.
or like work with a female that does what they do.
Yes.
But
And that's why the woman day things are so great.
I know.
yeah,
But we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
right. But then I just kind of, you know, I'm like, you know what, you know, like it just seems like maybe when it comes to what we're gonna do, we're always gonna have men around us, and
Yeah.
that's why we just have to. This is what I meant earlier about stepping into your power, like.
Yes.
And when I say this, like, especially when it comes to the, like men, I don't mean like I want to come across as a female where I look at you and I'm like, you're gonna do whatever I say, and that's how it's gonna be. Like, no.
Yeah.
But when I work with you, especially if you're a man, I want you to look at me and respect me.
Yeah.
Don't be, yes, I am beautiful. Yes, I have a fucking, excuse my language, big ass. Yes, you know, like it's inevitable, you know?
Yeah.
But when when you're looking at me, I want you to respect me. We are working on a business level, and that's just what it is.
And that's
Yeah.
when
You
you,
know?
kind of tap into your like masculine energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that's
Creating
when
boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause that's what it's
And
about.
being assertive and things
Yeah.
like that. That's when
Exactly.
you tap into that part of yourself versus
Exactly.
like the feminine is all about like lighthearted and like da-da-da-da
Playful.
and playful and like cute and sexy and sensual. But like then when you're in a business setting, that's when you like tap into those things, and it's important to really navigate which one you're going to use for certain like
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely.
So when I'm like when we're around like guys and stuff like that, you know, sometimes you do have to tap into that masculine energy and be like, yo, like you're my bro, like you
Like,
know, like if
that's
I,
it.
yeah, like, and that's kind of how you set the tone with like things like that.
Exactly, you do, and it's just like, and that's something I'm still learning. Like I'm a very kind person. Like I really care a lot about people, and so sometimes, you know, currently right now, I'm really learning how to really utilize my masculine energy because, like, yeah, sometimes I'd be frustrated. Like the other day, like there's this guy, I'm not gonna name names, but you know, he's been contacting me a lot to perform for his events and stuff, but it's the way he comes across. It's like he's flirting with me. He'll comment on my pictures. And I just had to tell him one day, like, listen, you're not acting professional and I'm not going to work with you, and your events don't align with my brand.
For real,
Right?
Period. That's
So
shit.
it's
For real.
just, yeah. And but I say those things when I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
So I'm practicing, you know, on how to say those things when we're not frustrated, just to say it right, you know, off the bat, you know? Because it's just like, because unfortunately there's going to be men that are just not really going to care. And they're just going to keep doing it until someone says something.
Yeah.
That's very true.
You know? So,
Exactly.
but I really love the fact that you said about the masculine energy, because it is about that too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Being assertive plays a big role in that, whether they walk all over you and like think that they can continue to flirt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I feel you. Finding a balance is hard too.
It is.
It is, yeah.
Because we were talking about this in the last podcast we just shot before, but like doing things like being assertive while also like not trying to deteriorate a relationship with the person that you're trying to work with. You know?
Right.
Tough to navigate for sure.
Yeah, it can be. But then you also kind of realize too, like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Like if there comes a point where like that connection, the business relationship, whatever it may be, has to end because the person's not understanding where you're coming from, or it's just there's no understanding, then you know it is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't just be too nice all the time because you want to make it work, and you know, so
100%.
but it can be frustrating. I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
On that note, do you have any other like big pet peeves, whether it be in the music industry or just in society in general?
Yeah, let me think.
Yeah, take your time.
I think
This is the one that we usually. I'm gonna let you cook. You know, I'm gonna give you your time.
Yeah, no, I was just talking to someone about this the other day. Like it was a guy. He was just kind of telling me about the reality of how men can be, right? Of how like certain men could like walk all over you, or how certain men like, like you being a sweet person, like they just may like take advantage of you a certain way, and then you have to kind of act a certain way, or you have to kind of in a sense be in your masculine energy. And I think my biggest pet peeve is like applying this to I don't know how to explain this, but kind of like applying it to like the music industry is kind of like sometimes I get frustrated with feeling like I have to tap into my masculine energy when that's not an issue, because like there's a balance. But I'm like, me as a person, me as a woman, I am feminine. I love to be soft. And I recognized for the longest time that I'm a very soft person. It's just a reality. Like,
That's just who you are.
Yeah, that's just who I
There's
am.
no more need to explain. Like, that's who you are.
Exactly. But there were times that I felt so bad about it, or I felt like, damn, like, Yelena, we need to be more hard. Like, like we gotta be more rough. And it's like, and now I'm just like, no, people are gonna have to accept me how I am. People are gonna have to, recognize that I'm a highly sensitive human being, and I'm not gonna change that, And I guess one of my pet peeves with that being said is just like always kind of feeling having to like kind of be in my masculine. Like there were times I had people be like, why are you so calm? Like you just have to, and I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Why the fuck am I so calm? Yeah. Exactly.
Why am I not mad? Like the fuck?
Right. Like
you want me to be fucking mad?
Right. Like, do you want me to fuck shit up? Because I can fuck shit up.
Right.
Like, don't get me. But it's just, like my biggest pet peeve is just like when encountering people that just kind of like want you to be like a certain way just because everyone else is, or just because society is. Because unfortunately nowadays society really is, a lot of people are in their masculine energy, especially women.
Yeah.
Yes.
The men, certain men are not in their masculine.
Yeah.
And so, but it's like when you're a woman who's really in her feminine and who's learning how to be in her masculine, but then you kind of like are in an environment where you feel like you always have to be in your masculine, and that just feels weird to you because that's not who you are. It can be frustrating.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just my biggest peeve, is just like feeling like I just can't be myself, because it's like it's the same thing with relationships. I want to be soft in a relationship. I want to be honest, like I'm kind of like a submissive woman in a relationship. Like, not saying I'll be the type at home to just cook and clean. But like I am the
emotionally.
Like I am the type of woman who can be very submissive to the right man.
Yes.
Like I like a man to be a man. I like a man to lead. I like a man to act as the protector. Like you're like my own bodyguard, Like that's just how I am as a person, and that's what I would like. And so on a business level, of course I'll be assertive when the time comes, or like I'll kind of, be in my masculine. But at the same time, like I'm not going to just be overly masculine just because you want me to be that way, or you want me to match your energy. No, that's not how it works. And so I would say overall that's like my biggest pet peeve. If you can count that as a pet peeve.
Yeah, definitely. And it goes vice versa too. Like there's a lot of women that are kind of, I can't say too much because that might be the perfect amount for them, but some people are too much in their masculine, and it's important to tap into their feminine too.
Yeah, you need balance.
Yeah, you definitely do.
You need a balance, and I see that in the music scene. Like I've seen sometimes how women are like, damn, like I have to fuck over this like dude, or like I have to try to level, be over, be on top of him or whatever. And it's like, no, like there's a balance. Like you don't have to. One, don't match people's energy.
Yeah.
Meet people where they're at, but do not match their energy. That's like the biggest thing. So that's why for me, like whenever I meet people, like, because I've encountered this in the music scene where I met people who, think they're, all that, their ego's this high, and, there's no way for it to come down. And that's why I always say to myself, like, you got to stay humble, but of course you have to recognize that your worth. And I've encountered people who are just they think that their worth is close to God, and they're talking to you a certain way, or they're looking at you a certain way, And in those cases, don't match the person's energy. Just be you, observe, and just act accordingly.
Yeah.
You know, that's like the biggest thing that I've learned with time, and I'm still continuously learning, because obviously there's people that you may encounter where you're like, the fuck, like, it's, you know, like I just want to, you know, like the person irritates you, but no, it's really best to just, you know, like, again, be yourself, you know, recognize where people are at, meet them where they're at, and just act accordingly. Don't have to match energy whatsoever. And I've seen people who it's like they feel like they have to match energy. They feel like they have to.
A lot of people.
You know, a lot of people, like, they feel like they have to, like, prove themselves in a certain way or show themselves in a certain way, and it's like,
I'm gonna just let you rock. I'm gonna let you be you, and I'm gonna be me, because not everybody has to have a piece of my mind. Like, that's just wasting my energy.
Exactly. Again, and exactly. And it goes back to protecting your energy. So it's like, another thing I've been learning.
Agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. I feel like people don't talk or say that often. They'll be like, "Oh, that's you." Like, I'm match that. Like, you know what?
I'm matching energy out here.
Yeah, you can do that if you want.
Yeah,
but I like that. I like that. Like, because it's important to not let the petty energy, like, come into play.
Yeah, it's not.
Because it's just gonna, like, badly affect you at the end of the day.
Exactly, and that's why I like what that, and I just kind of apply it to my music as well. Like, when people kind of talk to me about, like, oh, Yelena, you gotta do more upbeat, or Yelena, you should try to, I don't know, like, do something different compared to what you're doing, and I'm like, my mind, I'm like, fuck no.
Yeah,
like, I don't
right
say,
now. Like,
like, I don't say it often, but sometimes I be in my room and I'm like, what the excuse me, I'm like swearing a lot today.
No,
but
you're good. You can swear all you want.
But sometimes I'd be like, what are they talking about? Like, no, like, I'm not, like, you know, like with Voice of the Baddies, when we did the whole collaboration thing, like, you know, when we were working on certain songs, I'm like, you know, I'll observe, and if it makes sense, I'll go on it. But I just think in general, like, you don't want to change yourself. You don't want to try to be like everyone else. And especially in this music scene, there are certain people who I observe and notice that, you know, they're trying to fit in. They're trying to still kind of figure out their, you know, I guess, like, maybe their purpose. They're trying to figure out who they are. And then it's like they're doing things that really probably don't align for them. And it's like, that's why for me, like, I just really tell myself, like, listen, like, we let's be ourselves. Yeah. We don't have to change who we are. We don't have to try to be more hard or prove that we're hard, you know? Could, even as a soft woman, like, because that's how I see myself, I can be hard sometimes. Like, I can't, like, you know, if you say the wrong thing, like don't talk to me a certain way, you know? But it's like, it's all about just being yourself. And also, the only way you can be yourself is recognizing what your purpose is. And obviously, I want to say obviously, but some people don't know what their purpose is, you know? So that's like the biggest thing.
Very true.
Yeah.
So what would you say your purpose is?
Well, what I feel my purpose is, I definitely feel like I came into this world to do music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I definitely feel like I was meant to, like, travel, perform in all different states and countries, encounter all different types of people, meet different types of people, be known around the world. But I also feel like with everything that I'm doing music-wise, I feel like I was meant to do it so I could help people in some capacity, in a certain way, you know. And not to sound like a humanitarian or cliche, but I just really feel like in my being that, like, I was really meant for this, because growing up, like I said, despite me having stage fright, I always pushed kind of music on the side all the time because of my parents not, you know, always telling me, oh, you gotta focus on a realistic career, you gotta, you know, do something that's going to actually bring you money. And so I remember in high school too, like, I was always pushing it on the side, but it always came back to me, you know. And, like, what is for you is always going to come back to you. And so I just really feel like at the end of the day, like, I recognize I have a certain energy to me that can really help people in some way. And And I just really feel like at the end of the day, my purpose is to inspire with whatever I do, because with music or whatever you do in life, I really feel like people should really have a mindset of, I came here to inspire. I came here to teach. I didn't come here to take. I didn't come here just to think about me. And that's why sometimes I feel uncomfortable when I'm in certain settings where I feel like people are just taking. And they're only thinking about themselves and not thinking about others.
Yeah.
You know? And especially in the music industry, that a lot of that happens. And even whether it's on a small scale or on a grand scale. But in general, I just really feel like with my music and everything that I'm doing, I really feel like I was, you know, my purpose is, you know, to inspire people in every way that I can possible.
I love that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that is.
Do you have anything else that you want to talk about? / do you have any other advice that you would want to give to anyone? I feel like you've dropped a lot of good advice today.
Yeah.
I try to take my own advice sometimes too.
Yeah.
Of course.
Let me see. What kind of advice can I give? I would say the biggest advice I'll give is this. You came into this world by yourself. And unfortunately, you're going to leave this world by yourself. So that being said, always pour into yourself before others. Especially when it comes to family, especially when it comes to friends, especially when it comes to like your partner, whoever, if you're in a relationship. Always pour into yourself and always know that you have the capacity to be whatever you want to be in this world.
Yeah.
Yes, not everyone's meant to be rich and famous, but success can be seen in different ways. And you as a person, I would advise that like the biggest thing you can do is do whatever makes you happy in this world. If you want to like go backpacking in Europe for a year, then do it. You know, if there's a way you can try to make it happen, if finance is not letting you, then do it. If you want to move to a whole nother state because you want to start over, do it. Figure it out how you're going to do it, but do it. For someone who wants to start a music career, if music is what you love and what you want to do, it's not cheap, but do it. But yeah, like everyone that comes into this world, just recognize like that you are number one and that no one can take your power away from you. Even those who have tried to, depending what your experience is, depending your situation is in this, and I'm speaking to people who've been taken advantage of, no one can take your power in any capacity. No one can take your power. No one can take away your soul or your being or whatever God may have given you, higher power, whatever you believe in, whatever you have, the power that you have within yourself, no one can take that away. And pour into yourself each and every day, and don't let those who don't pour into you to try to take that away from you or to try to be around you in any sort of way, because knowing you as a person, you being as a person, not everyone should have access to you. You are exquisite. You are not, there's a huge like high price tag on you. You know, you're more than worth than just a Birkin bag. You are literally the top of the top. You know, and just recognize that. Just people like, you know, just know that you are, like they say, you are the shit, but you are more than the shit. You are literally on the top of this world, and you come first. But be humble about it. Don't be selfish, but recognize like that you come first. Everyone else comes second, third, fourth, last, and that you are more than capable to achieve whatever you want to achieve in this lifetime. Yeah.
Mic drop.
Big mic drop moment.
Mic drop moment.
Damn, you're so good at speaking. Like, it's crazy. The
I
way you can
try.
just like get your
Yeah.
thoughts out is
I
wild.
know, for real.
I try.
Yeah, very
My-
beautifully said.
Yeah,
Thank you.
for real.
Yeah, I try.
On
I try.
On that note, do you have any last words you want to say before we head out?
No, I just want to say thank you so much, you both. You guys are very beautiful.
Thank you.
And
You too.
of course,
You too.
I try. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm very grateful. Like I'm very, very grateful and honored to be, on this platform. So thank you.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah,
We're
thank
glad.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Of course.
Tag your socials, your Instagram,
Yes.
where they can find you on streaming platforms.
Yes, of course. Yes. You guys can follow me on Yelena Music. My link tree is on my bio, so like you'll be able to find everything on there. Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is. My music is pretty much on every platform. And feel free to contact me. I don't bite,
Yeah.
but So thank you.
Word.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
This was
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
glad you could spit some wisdom for us
For
today.
real.
For real.
Much
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah, literally.
He was speaking to me for real.
Oh,
yeah,
good,
yeah,
good.
for real.
Good.
Well, check out Yelena on everything,
Everything.
Yes.
everything, all that. Go to her Instagram. You can find all her shit. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Pink World, we are out.
Bye.
We'll see you next week.
Tú preguntas de mí, siempre piensas